Good morning. It's Midsummer's Day, and this is a blog I'm going to read, A Midsummer's Night Dream, The Conquest of AI, a reading, and a few other readings as well, part of the series of the DoughForge library shelf readings. And I'm going to click around a bit on my screen or whatever. So, and yet they give to Airy nothing, a local habitation and a name. Now that's a line from A Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 5, Scene 1. Funnily enough, when I was a teenager, I don't know, I must have been about 14, we went to Oxford University on a school trip to watch a production of A Midsummer Night's Dream in one of the quads of one of the Oxford colleges. I forget which one, but I can remember a magical experience. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. Yeah, that's a faint memory that just came back to me. Anyway, so I've been doing some preparation reading, recapping from the DoughForge library shelf, and I was listening to the Conquest of AI today. But anyway, let's just go through here on the screen what's in the post. So Midsummer's Night's Dream. This is a wonderful cartoon strip called Good Tickle Brain, which is a stick cartoon strip of Shakespeare. Really, really well worth reading, and I think they've produced as books as well, or comics. This is a cartoon of this scene, and I'm going to read the exchange between Hippolyta and Theseus in a minute, where that line, and yet they give to Airy nothing, a local habitation and a name, and it's actually a quote that one of the characters in the Conquest of AI makes, and we'll get to that. I'll read that in a second, but let's just read this. First we'll read the cartoon strip. So this is Hippolyta to Theseus. That was a really strange story those lovers told us. More strange than true, I'd guess. Meaning? After all, the lunatic, the lover, and the poet are all of imagination, all compact. So do I literal fairy tales? Meaning I think they're telling fairy tales. Here they all come, and thank you all for your hospitality, Duke, Theseus. The wedding feast was splendid. Are we ready for some entertainment to keep us occupied from now until it's time to go to bed? Sure. Philostrate, what do we have planned for this evening's entertainment? Let me check my list. How about the Battle of the Centaurs, to be sung by an Athenian eunuch to the harp? Oh, no. The riot of the tipsy bacchanalias, the muses' mourning of the death of learning? No. Well, that's all, I'm afraid, except for the tedious brief scene of Pyramus and Thebes. Let's see that one. What? No, it's just a bunch of talentless amateur hacks. Sounds great. But I saw a rehearsal, and it's just terrible. Bring them in. Oh no, oh yes. Anyway, so 'tis strange, my Theseus, that these lovers speak of. More strange than true, I never may believe these antique fables, nor these fairy toys. Lovers and madmen have such seething brains, such shaping fantasies that apprehend more than cool reason ever comprehends. The lunatic, the lover, and the poet are of imagination all compact. One sees more devils than vast hell can hold. That is the madman, the lover, all as frantic, sees Helen's beauty in a brow of Egypt, the poet's eye in a fine frenzy rolling, doth glance from heaven to earth, from earth to heaven, and as imagination bodies forth the forms of things unknown, the poet's open turns them to pens, and gives to airy nothing a local habitation and a name. Such tricks hath strong imagination, that if it would but apprehend some joy, it comprehends some bringer of that joy, or in the night imagining some fear, how easy is a bush supposed to bear. And then this is the summary of the overall play, the Good Tickle Brain summary of A Midsummer Night's Dream, one-page summary. Demetrius wants to marry Hermia, but she runs off with Lysander into the woods. Helena loves Demetrius, tells him where Hermia has gone, and follows him into the woods. Bottom the Weaver and his friends start rehearsing a play in the woods. In the woods, Fairy King Oberon uses a love juice on Titania, his queen, in order to make her give him her foster son. Oberon tells Puck, his hench fairy, to use the love juice to make Demetrius fall in love with Helena. Puck mistakenly uses the love juice on Lysander, and he falls in love with Helena. Under the influence of love juice, Titania falls in love with Bottom, whom Puck has given the head of a donkey because. Puck correctly uses the love juice on Demetrius, and he also falls in love with Helena. Everyone runs around and is confused and angry for a while. The love juice effects are removed from Titania and Lysander, and everything else is resolved. Everyone gets married. Bottom and his friends perform their play, and it is hilariously terrible. So that's The Midsummer Night's Dream, which obviously is a comedy and something of a farce. So the Clockwork Forest, which quotes that line in chapter 13, and I'm going to read chapter 13, From Gone Fishing to Gone Direct. The room was quiet, save for the faint hum of a computer in the corner. Robin, Christine and Charlie sat in their usual spots, the weight of the conversation heavy in the air. A printout of a recent article lay on the table, the headline bold and accusatory. The economy is stagnant and our political representatives impotent. The pen is mightier than the keyboard. Who's against the Panopticon jailer bot? Robin leaned forward, their voice tinged with frustration. Gone fishing, more like gone direct. Hashtag BTR, hashtag MMC, at Chrematistics. These are just euphemisms for the same old problem. The economy is stagnant because it's designed to be stagnant, and our so-called leaders impotent by design. Christine nodded, her gaze fixed on the article. Rates were raised too far too fast. Now they're staying too high for too long. Why? It's not just incompetence, it's sabotage. Bailey, Reeves, Starmer, they're not just failing, they're ensuring that failure becomes the norm. Charlie tapped the table rhythmically, his tone measured. And yet they give to airy nothing a local habitation and a name. Emanations from Genesis to Revelation dressed up as policy. But in the end, however you bank your screw, the money you save won't buy you more than a shave. Robin chuckled darkly. Vote liberty, vote independent. WikiBallot, a well-hung parliament as the pinnacle of virile democracy. It's a nice idea, but the system won't let it happen. The linguistics of censorship. Tomato, tomato. It's all about controlling the narrative. Christine picked up a different sheet of paper, scanning its contents. Chrematistics to carbon credits, the new monetary system. The carbon credit gold standard. Free will versus determinism, Augustine versus Pelagius. It's the same debate repackaged for the modern age. Charlie smirked, and while we're debating theology, Trump's shoe-shining stand is still open for business. The PayPal mafia, the Bilderbergers, the oligarchs, they're all polishing their boots while the rest of us scramble for crumbs. Robin sighed, their expression grim. And all eyes on housing debt. Higher for longer equals housing weak. Bailey, Reeves, Starmer, they're not just sabotaging the UK economy, they're pushing it over the brink. Rates too high, too fast, and now too long. It's deliberate, it's calculated. Christine leaned back, her tone sharp. And what does it all boil down to? Aadhaar, let them eat cake. while the rest of us are all trapped in a digital panopticon. The right tool for the job, they say, but it's not even wrong. It's not even there. All counterfeit, yet to the counterfeit. The counterfeit? Charlie gestured to the pile of papers on the desk. So what's the answer? How do we fight back against a system that's not just broken, but rigged? Against leaders who aren't just incompetent, but complicit? Robin's gaze hardened, their voice resolute. We start by naming it, by exposing it. From gone fishing to gone direct, we trace the lines of power and call them out. The pen may be mightier than the keyboard, but the truth is mightier than both, and the truth is what they fear most. The room fell silent, the weight of their words hanging in the air. Outside, the world continued its relentless march toward chaos, but inside a spark had been lit, a determination to fight, to resist, to claim what had been lost. Hashtag gone direct, hashtag BTR, hashtag MMC, hashtag Panopticon, hashtag housing crisis, hashtag carbon credits, hashtag free will, hashtag determinism, hashtag economic sabotage, hashtag Aadhaar, hashtag counterfeit. Now, the Clockwork Forest, Conquest of AI, is available as an ebook. It's actually priced cheaper on Barnes and Noble at $2.99. Will that appear? Yes, it will. There we are. So this is the Barnes and Noble page for the. There's another Roger Lewis. This Roger Lewis is the professor of modern poetry at Oxford. I'm another Roger Lewis. There are a few of us, and my books appear on Barnes and Noble on the same page as the other Roger Lewis. I had been using Roger G. Lewis. Why I haven't on this, I've no idea. But I don't suppose it matters. And the so you can get paperwork backs or ebooks. So let's just find, here's the Conquest. So Clockwork Forest, the Conquest of AI, and this is the description. Clockwork Forest, the Conquest of AI, fables of control, freedom, and the fight for truth. I mean, you can click around these and have a read of them, but you can see the ebooks are priced and the paperbacks are priced differently. And ebooks are also available on Smashwords. So on Smashwords, if I go here, by Roger Lewis, there we are. So they're grouped into the different series here. So you think you know about money or CityCam. I'm going to read a bit of that in a minute, of volume 1. I'm waiting for volume 2 to come in the post, and I got volume 3 here already. I was just reading what I read from the Conquest of AI, actually from an EPUB on my screen, because they're basically, I've paid the customs duty, but they're all sat in customs. I've had a bunch of authors' copies delivered. So that's all the EPUBs, and the particular one that we've been looking at is this one, Conquest, the Clockwork Forest. There we are. It's priced at $2.99 bargain. It's actually priced at $4.99. They're all EPUBs are priced at $4.99 on the DoughForge website, and basically, if someone does that, I get all that money because it's a self-hosted website with a web shop. Barnes and Noble, they sell the EPUBs, but you can get the paperbacks as well. So here's the Conquest of Dough, and I've got a bit of that to read in a minute as well, and then I'm gonna have a look at this one here, just which is volume 1 of city cam. So you think you know about money, think again. I've got volume 3 here, but I'll wait for volume 2 to come and I'll just do them in order. Conquest of DoughForge, I did a reading on this one. Yes, I'm really pleased. Well, actually, I'm really pleased with all of them. This one, the reader to this one is this, the Unfair Index. The EPUB for this can be downloaded from the DoughForge library, which is here, bookshop. Here it is, look. So that's priced at $4.99. This one here is free to download. Where are we? So the DoughForge Identity, which is a reader to this and this, and for the Fair Index. Now, let's just get back to this theme of the Midsummer Night's Dream, and there's the Conquest of Dough, the overview of the Conquest of Dough, and I wanted to read chapter 8, Actualitie and Other Economical Escapades, a Riddle. So let's just give this a read here. In a land far away, in a time not so nigh, there was a tale of intrigue with a dash of spy, a story of emails of warnings and dread, and a comedic twist that leave you in stitches, it's said. So let us laugh at the madness and revel in the absurd, for in this tale of power and deception, comedy is the word. With rhymes and wit aplenty, we'll spin a yarn so grand, a story of love and laughter in this comedic wonderland. The plot thickens with a planted story, oh my, a warning to those who dare defy. A ne'er-do-gooder high up on the pyramid's peak, protected from harm, oh the secrets they keep. But fear not, my friends, for there's more to this tale. A love letter to America, oh what a trial, a manual for narratives, for strategy so sly. Between 9/11 and now, it's all just pie in the sky. The oligarchy's power struggle, oh what a sight to see, marshalling their lieutenants, it's all just comedy. A comment turned into a blog on themes so grand, who rules the oligarchy, it's all just so unplanned. In the land of math and science, there's an elephant conundrum to solve. How to fit it in a fridge, a problem that's hard to resolve. Differentiate and integrate, redefine and apply theorems so bold, but the elephant's still too big. Its fate remains untold. Number theory suggests factorizing and multiplying with glee, but the elephant remains unscathed. It's as big as can be. Algebra steps in with its solutions, trying to make it fit, but the fridge remains shut. The elephant won't submit. Topology makes a turn, suggesting some bizarre tricks. Swallow the fridge, turn it inside out. It's a plan that quickly sticks. Make a Klein bottle fridge or declare the elephant smaller form, but no matter the approach, the fridge still fails to conform. Algebraic topology replaces the fridge interior with r to the power of 3, but the elephant still stands tall, as big as can be. Linear algebra tries to fit its basis, but it's just a futile try. The elephant won't shrink, no matter how hard we apply. Affine geometry attends a transformation, but it's all in vain. The elephant won't budge, its size will remain. Set theory claims it's easy, but the challenge still stands. The elephant and the fridge won't cooperate. It's not what the theory demands. Geometry declares an axiom, but it's just wishful thinking. The elephant defies all laws. It's not about shrinking. Complex analysis puts the fridge at the origin, but it's all in vain. The elephant's outside the circle and the problem remains. Numerical analysis tries to fit just its trunk, but it's not enough. The error terms grow large, the challenge remains tough. Statistics brings in bright and dull minds, but neither can prevail. The elephant won't fit, no matter how hard we wail. And amidst all these mathematical escapades, there's a tale so grand of an Italian politician and his secret so unplanned. He told his friend of his mother's high notions, so pure and bright, and of his own secret profession that he kept out of sight. For his mother thought he played the piano in a brothel, you see, a far more respectable job than a minister could ever be. And in the world of music and dance, there's a story so bold of the Dirty Dozen and their language so untold. The Chicago houses echoed with their tunes so raw, a language so colourful, breaking every decorum law. And then there's Honky Tonk Blues, a tale of naked dances so true, where art and stripping intertwined in a New Orleans view. So amidst the math and music, the elephant still stands tall, defying all attempts to fit it in a fridge so small. But in this world of absurdity and laughter so grand, the elephant's refusal to shrink is just par for the funny land. In a land not so far away, in a time not so long ago, a tale of intrigue and deception, a comedy to bestow, a story of emails exchanged with secrets to reveal, and a poet to narrate the tale with wit and much appeal. The plot thickens with warnings of nefarious controllers in power, an email exchange of planted stories, a warning to make them cower. A ne'er-do-gooder on the pyramid, a senior figure in the game, protected by the powers that be, with scandal and dirt to claim. Scribble's status is shrouded in mystery, conspicuous by its absence, a story of involuntary detention, or perhaps a case of nonsense. The warning across the bows of Brexit MPs, a tale of Brexit's line, the tap turned on and off at will, with power struggles that intertwine. The Daily Mail reveals a pervert son, a former Blackrod's kin, quizzed by police investigating, a tale of child sex abuse to spin. Amidst the chaos and intrigue, the plot thickens with each turn, a comedy of errors and deceit with lessons we must learn. The Bezmenov pamphlet is a manual for narratives of the past, a power struggle within the oligarchy with schemes that forever last. Marshalling their lieutenants with means both fair and foul, a showdown for the ages, a comedy to make us howl. But fear not, dear reader, for in this tale of deceit and woe, there's humour to be found with laughter that will flow. For in the midst of all chaos, the absurdity takes flight, a comedy of errors and escapades to bring us joy and light. And so we come to the end of this rhyming hexameter, a tale of false narratives, a narrative so clever. Hollywood and the media, the new Apocrypha, they say, it's all just a comedy in an economical escapade. So that's the Substack here, DoughForge powered by Wankers, and all of the paperbacks. If you want to buy, not paperbacks, but all the EPUBs, there's the free one I just mentioned, but you can download all the others for $4.99. And then this reading is the latest in this sequence of lit readings, so basically these are trailers promoting the paperbacks, really, or actually the paperbacks. It doesn't make any difference really to me. If you buy an EPUB for $4.99, I'm very grateful. If you buy an EPUB off Barnes and Noble or Smashwords or whatever, again, I've tried to praise the paperback, so anyone that wants to read a paperback, and I think personally I get much more out of reading a physical book than I do reading. It's much easier on the eye. I often suffer from eye infections because most of the reading that I do is done on a screen. So that's the reading I did of this one the other day. I did this one the other day as well. Naming usury's tyranny. Now the themes in all of these: poetic legislator, circle of blame, anthology of blame, and they're really nicely produced. I do like them. And I did a reading from this one yesterday. I love this foolscap, but it's the writing's quite big, so that's good because I've got an eye infection at the moment, so it's much easier to read. But obviously, the point that we're getting at here, it's about the monetary system, the clearing system, the gradient, and macroprudential lending policies, which are basically diktats handed down by the Bank of International Settlements, or Bank for International Settlements, and that it's an unelected committee of first the money equals in central banking, and that is what determines what plays out in the rest of the economy. And that it's the markets won't like it. We're persistently bombarded with this narrative that we should just accept that economics is a law of nature, and it's not. It's a political choice. And what I've endeavoured to do with my writing and my research over the last 15 years is kind of get to the heart of that. And I do think, actually, before I read some of this, that, and yet they give to Airy nothing, a local habitation and a name. That's the essence of the money token. Money is a figment of imagination. Obviously, you can get a note or you can make a payment or whatever. That bit isn't imaginary, but the token and the logo on the token is a signifier of an idea, and the interpretation of it can be embedded in conventions, and those conventions are choices, and the conventions that we are forced by institutions which have been weaved into a financial logic based around debt as a controlling medium of people's lives, is what that's the essence of the point that I'm driving at. And in fact, in this poem here, I've got the Larkin poem up. Yes, I have. So this is a poem by Philip Larkin, Money, which is linked to one of the links in the thing I read earlier. So, Money by Philip Larkin. Quarterly, is it? Money reproaches me. Why do you let me lie here wastefully? I'm all you never had of goods and sex. You could get them still by writing a few checks. So I look at others, what they do with theirs. They certainly don't keep it upstairs. But now they've a second house and car and wife. Clearly money has something to do with life. In fact, they've a lot in common, if you inquire. You can't put off being young until you retire. And however you bank your screw, the money you save won't in the end buy you more than a shave. I listen to money singing. It's like looking down from long French windows at a provincial town. The slums, the canal, the churches ornate and mad. In the evening sun, it is intensely sad. So, just going to get back to those were all of the readings. So I've done everything on the screen there, and now we're just going to dip into this. So these 3 volumes are, well, they like textbooks really, I guess, and this one as well is like a textbook. This does all sorts of, if you look at the reading of this, it's it's a lot of things, and all I can say is it is what it is. It's unapologetic. But there's a index at the back. There are sources that are basically transcluded and intertwingled with the thing. So let's just read this. Right. So page 577, logic, meta-language, and the Tarski framework. The formal architecture. Tarski's semantic theory of truth provides the logical scaffolding. A system cannot define its own truth predicate. The anchor file is the meta-language. The book is the object language. The bibliography is the proof that the meta-language is grounded. Now, that's all gobbledygook, isn't it? But it's sort of like the encyclopedic bit of explaining different things. So if I then go in the index, and we should under T, yeah, so under T we've got Tarski Alfred, who's quoted at chapter 4, the moral shine, chapter 1.1, the anchor, the glossary, bibliography, semantic theory of truth. Then we've got the Tarski Malone Lewis synthesis, chapter 4, the moral sign. So it quotes its sources, its influences, and then also it pays forward into hypotheses that come out of connections made across a wide subject base. And it's what these books are, which this library are. It's a whole system of understanding, and I'm not trying to impose it on other people. I'm just saying, look, here's a bunch of information, and I've arranged it in this configuration, and it's, you know, it suggests some questions. Here's the question, and this is an answer I propose coming, you know, from that question based on these facts, but actually with all the facts being there. Yeah, so and then these three, it's a boiling down, if you will. So let's just we'll just read the first few pages of this and see where we go. Right, so methodology note. A note to the reader before chapter 1 begins. Volume 1 opens the CityCam trilogy at the title line, registering money as Panopticon. The trilogy umbrella, CityCam, so you think you know about money, reads aloud as CityCam. The brand name money has become for the track consumer. The trilogy this volume opens is the consolidated working statement of a writing life. The reader is helped to know before reading the chapters 3 things about the working method the trilogy has been produced by. Section 1, the 17-year working method, a primary source. This trilogy is the culmination of a writing life that has been working at the same question in public on the open record for 17 years. Between the first YouTube uploads at the Tone Freaks channel in 2009 and the trilogy's appearance in 2026, the reader of any single chapter is reading the surface of a body of writing that's been accumulating across the period in the channels the writer had open to him at the cadence the writer's life has permitted. Right, so I'm going to do a further reading of that, but as I've got my screen open and I'm doing this, let's just look at what that actually entails. Why is that being slow? I think I've probably got a few too many things open. This is the Going Direct mind map. So escape key on Substack addresses these similar issues, or the same issues. It is the issue of money, the abstractness of money, the rules around that abstraction, which actually work against the interests of most people that have to use the medium of exchange. I mean, that's basically it. So let's just go back here. All right. Okay. So this is me. I built this brain. I've been building it for several years, and it's, as you can see, it's a mind map. But this is all of the books in the DoughForge library, which and you can go to the Go Direct mind map, and you'll find all these things here. So I've done other explanations of this and how it all works, but the primary node is this one, the Going Direct paradigm. This is the central node, and you can see there are a bunch of tabs appear at the top of the mind map, but around this node you can see all of the connections, etc. And then there's this thing called the plex down here, so you can then click on the article that specific node links to, and here we are. So at this primary node, the problem of monopoly, the issue which has swept down the centuries and which will have to be fought sooner or later, is the people versus the banks, which is an actual quote from Lord Acton, who coined the absolute power corrupts absolutely. So yeah, so that's that. Dig into the library, have a good look, and this is live. I am not an AI. I am a person. If you cut me, do I not bleed? Merchant of Venice. And that's this morning's, when I'm awaiting further books to come. So happy Midsummer. Happy Midsummer indeed. And yet they give to Airy nothing, a local habitation and a name. The end.